Hello everyone and welcome to the Cafe Cast. Today we will be talking about It Isn't the Main Thing About You. You'll notice that there isn't a blue pony here. That's because Second Opinion is taking the next 2 weeks off of the cast. He's got something going on, so yeah, that's that. Today with us we have Burgundy Patches.
Hello.
Yes. We have Maya Skies.
Oh my god, it's okay. Well, you can call me that. Fine. Hey.
Well, how would you prefer to be addressed?
It's okay.
Okay.
Everyone has different way
Yeah.
of pronouncing things. Whatever.
Well, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, then I definitely want to know how it's pronounced.
It's fine. It's fine. Just move on.
Okay. And then there's Anime Wolf Gamer.
Hello there.
Yes, and good old Calliope.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, so as I said a minute ago, we're going to be talking about the most recent episode of My Little Pony. Or did I say this? I'm losing track. Anyways, we're going to talk about the most recent episode of My Little Pony. It isn't the main thing about you. So, anybody want to start out with their thoughts on the episode?
I'll start.
Okay.
Personally, definitely one of my top 5 rarity episodes, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying that. But I really appreciated it. I think there was a lot to be had in here, and whether or not it was a repetitive lesson, it was nice to see a different spin, a different personality going through the same thing. And yeah, it really kind of hit home for me.
Well, that's good. How does it hit home for you?
Well, for the audience here who does not know, I am an MBTI or Myers-Briggs type indicator expert.
Explain me that.
It's a personality. It's a personality method, personality analysis method.
Right. Yeah. Now I remember. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just in short term, just let people know what that is, because even I had to take a while to remember what that is, and I barely know what it is. So. Go.
Yeah. So the MBTI it has 16 different personalities. It has 4 different categories, like introvert and extrovert, and sensor and intuitive, thinker and feeler, and judger and perceiver. So, for example, both Rarity and myself, and I just found out Lightning Bliss is also ENFJ. So, just having somebody who... I have a similar problem with Rarity where I put too much value on what others think of me that I kind of forget to shine from the inside, as the episode says. So that just watching somebody who, has similar personality traits and quirks that I do, that going through the same thing, that it really kind of helped me out.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the episode aside from that? Anything you wanted to bring up?
Punk rock Rarity is awesome.
That seems to be
I concur.
Generally accepted thing now. Everybody loves punk rock Rarity. Yeah. Anyone else want to give their thoughts on the episode?
Wait, I'll go. Okay, so this episode, I honestly think it was pretty decent. Yet, I really honestly believe that this is like some sort of season 2 episode that got scrapped and then got reused again around this time. It's only because I feel like this kind of lesson and everything about it, it really feels like that it's meant for like the very earlier of the seasons, like around the time maybe like in the middle of season 2, since considering it's about like accept yourself for inner beauty and all that's fine, but this kind of lesson usually only strives when it was like in the very early stages, at least to me.
Nice.
Although I will say that Punk Rarity is really good though. Which
Is the TV on in the background?
Yes, his mother's
Spanish opera.
I thought I heard someone talking Spanish and it sounded like the TV.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Like, yeah, I like, seriously, like Punk Rarity, like once that came out, I was like, I got bombarded with so many art stuff on Tumblr. They work so fast.
Well,
Gosh, it's not just Tumblr either.
It's the internet. Once a new character comes up, if you go 24 hours after release, there's artwork of it. Even 1 hour after release, there's probably artwork.
Oh yeah, there.
Everyone's familiar with the Rule 34. I mean, come on, people.
Yeah.
Wait, guys, is Fallen? Can anyone join during the middle of this?
Yeah, sure, we can add her. So we got another guest coming in a minute. It's gonna be Fallen Wish. She just showed up. So there we go with that. Punk rock rarity. For me, I don't think that it really fits her character, but I mean, I'm just used to her being pompous and proper.
Oh, come on, to be fair, like, isn't this something like sort of like the fandom does? They draw her in many different styles of clothing, if I remember.
Yeah, and she can pull off almost any style, but I've never seen her as a character that would ever wear punk rock. Outside of Equestria Girls.
Beauty of the ENFJ popping out.
On the one hand, it's not the style I would think of for her, but on the other hand, it's probably the only thing I can think of that would work with, what she had to work with.
Yeah.
True.
A fashionista found a solution, but I don't know. It's just never something I'd expect her to wear.
She pulled it off well, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
I liked how this episode explored the downside of... Well, no. I like how they went back to Zeccora's hut. I think they remodeled the background, or have I just noticed it yet?
They added stuff to it.
Okay.
It's not a complete redesign.
Yeah, and here we got Fallen Wish. She's in the call now.
I'm alive.
Hello.
Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah. So I think they... I don't know if this was done in earlier episodes, but I feel like they redesigned Zeccora's hut.
Yeah, they probably did. Although it is nice that we saw...
Just a little bit.
It is nice that we saw Zecora again for so long that I honestly thought they just didn't have anything else to do with her. But I'm at least glad they brought them back from magical shenanigans.
Yeah, but why did they have to mix up the potions?
Well, she didn't label them, so yeah, of course that's gonna happen. This is what
They
happened.
look exactly alike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who else knew that they were going to get mixed up the second she put them on the table?
Yeah.
Oh,
Everybody knew that before the episode even started.
Indeed.
Yeah. At least with this one, we know Zeccora's not good at labeling in her own bottles.
Yeah. I think she more relies on colors.
Yeah, and unfortunately, she picked the same colors for both. Wow. Yeah.
And the exact same bottles for both. They're same size, same shape, everything.
Yeah.
Yep, that's true.
She bought them in bulk.
Oh yeah, I should also comment on this. With Rarity's house, there's a design flaw about a window that is right in her bathroom, like where the shower is, and I'm like, wait, this implies something. And I wish I could say it, but that's probably NSF territory. Like, seriously, it's very flawed design 101. Yeah, let's build a window where the showers are. I'm sure the homeowner will not mind.
Although,
It's actually a very
hey,
common house
maybe-
design, unfortunately.
consider
I
that
hate
they
it.
don't usually wear clothes anyway.
Well, fair enough, yeah.
True.
Yeah, still, like, seriously, that's very flawed design. If you bought a house and then suddenly the window's like huge enough for anybody to see you showering in there.
Well, isn't her shower on the next level, like one of the upper floors?
There's,
Yeah, I think the boutique is the ground floor and she lives on the second floor. So
there's a thing I like to call binoculars.
Also Pegasus.
Yes, and also Pegasus.
that's true.
Wow. I also used one of those. Oh, yeah.
No,
But
now
still,
I'm
they don't
wondering.
normally wear clothes anyway, so I don't know
Yeah.
if it makes much difference.
I guess they don't have a concept of privacy
True.
sometimes.
Although that always seems to be the joke with Rarity, that she doesn't wear clothes, but yet she has to act like, oh my god, I'm naked, like the one with the keep friends, like make new friends but keep Discord, when Discord just vacuum her clothes up.
Yeah. And best night ever, Spike wanted to come in while they were getting ready, and she said, no, we're getting changed. And Applejack's like, we don't normally wear clothes.
Yeah, like maybe that's part of the jokes. Like maybe that's the reason why the window's up there. Like, at least it's consistent with Rarity's jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Decora's personality in that episode threw me off, though. To be
Wait,
honest,
I'll
How's
agree
that?
with that.
she just seemed different than you would like. She has in past episodes, and you would expect her to be, and it was a little weird.
Oh, that's pretty much happens when you don't use a character for 3 seasons.
Yeah, I'm pretty
least.
sure. Not to mention, isn't this like a new writer? Is this a thing? I haven't checked who wrote this episode though. Who wrote the episode exactly?
I don't know.
Guest
I
writer.
don't usually pay attention to who writes them.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it was this episode, but I know there was a guest writer that wrote a recent episode named GM Barrow.
Yeah, GM Barrow's written a few episodes, but they predominantly write the chapter books.
hmm
Hmm.
That might have been the Daring Do episode then.
Could be, but like I said, I don't usually pay attention to who the writers are for a particular episode, unless it seems relevant.
Do. I'm looking it up anyways. Written by Josh Haber.
Haber.
Josh
Like-
Haber. Oh, and
Okay.
Blue Rave just said in the chat, Josh Haber wrote the episode.
Josh Haber is the one who wrote this. Well, to be fair, Josh Haber has never wrote an episode with Sakura, so this is his third time doing so.
Wow, you must know the writers of the episodes really well if you know that off the top of your head.
Yeah, like
That was impressive.
I always check, mostly because each of them has distinctive writing styles, and the fact that I'm probably thinking of doing an overall series review with the writers and checking how they work with the show, starting with the ones who barely had one episode or two and just disappeared, like Chris Savano. Man, that's been so long since I last heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I generally like Josh Haber's episodes, I think.
Like Josh Haber as a episode writer, yeah, he's really good. But then season 6 kind of happened, and he kind of went against his own. He kind of went against his own episode after that. Not to say season 6 is entirely terrible. It's just that he's not good as an editor. So yeah, best to stay in story.
I don't know if I'm late to the party on this one, but did anybody catch when Rarity said, "Let's let what's inside out," and then turned into the punk rock?
What about it?
Is she like
Punk rock on the
admitting that
inside?
she-
Really like
Yeah.
punk rock?
is she secretly punk
Again.
rock?
Again, the NFJ, you guys. It's the personality. Like, everybody thinks we're all these really prim, proper cinnamon rolls, but on the inside, we're like sass and punk rock people.
I guess there's been one tilt of the head to that I've ever noticed, though, is that part where she grabbed the guitar from Pinkie Pie and just, like, that was...
That was completely out of place.
I think it was totally consistent.
That was kind of funny. That was the only tip of the hat towards this that I've seen, though. Like, I did not expect this.
She clearly has her hidden depths.
Oh, my.
Oh.
Indeed.
No, Looney.
Yeah.
There's a comment from Blue Raven in the chat. We were talking about Zakor. It said Zakor was in Cutie Remark, which Josh Haber wrote.
Ah.
Oh, that's a Cutie Remark. What was that episode about?
That was the one with the alternate timelines and Starlight's pathetic backstory.
Oh,
Yeah,
right. I remember now.
That was way out of character, though. That was just because it was a totally
Well, it was
different
also an alternate timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I mean,
she had to be
makes
like
sense
a
if she
warrior.
wasn't
Yeah.
exactly.
That's
like-
forgivable.
Yeah, but this one, she just seemed, I don't know, personality threw me off a little. Was it wrong that everybody didn't pretend how bad it was with Rarity's hair? She kept saying that too. You can at least pretend it's not that bad.
I think that was just a fun running gag.
That was funny. That also, like, I don't know.
Fishing for compliments.
So
That's
bad
just
for her.
sad.
But isn't that Rarity in a nutshell?
No, not really.
Hmm.
I was just going to make a bad joke, but I'm going to refrain.
Yeah. So, who hasn't shared their thoughts yet?
might
I
as
guess
well
I
like
can.
it, though. Go.
Oh, okay. I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was fun. It was kind of predictable because as soon as they're getting the two different potions, it's really obvious that they're gonna get mixed up. They even did it in a very obvious way with them falling on the table. I mean, when she set them both down on the table, I was like keeping an eye on which was which because I thought it was going to be subtle. But that's like, nope, they both drop down. Just grab one at random. Don't bother to even check that you've got the right one. So,
How would you? They were
yeah.
Because logic.
I don't know. I mean, they probably smell different or something.
I don't know. You would have thought that
Something.
Rarity would have noticed.
You think that remover would be like more pungent and then shampoo would smell nice, you know?
Oh, Rarity did say it didn't smell very good for a shampoo, didn't she?
Yeah.
She did.
Yes, that's right. So you
Yeah,
That
don't
was
I
a
remember
random
that.
detail.
Smell
They
them.
drove it through it.
But yeah, I had fun with it. I thought it did a good job of showing how the way people react to you is more about how you present yourself rather than superficial things. You know, Rarity thought everyone was treating her differently because her mane was ruined, but they were treating her differently because she was acting like Fluttershy.
Uh-huh.
You know, she was being so soft-spoken and shrinking into the background where she normally flaunts herself.
Well, that's
So I thought,
exactly how
Go ahead.
Fluttershy was treated. You're right on that, because that was like every single time Fluttershy was treated bad. Everybody just literally walks over her and steps on her, pretty much.
Yeah.
yeah, because she was acting so shy and retiring and not standing up for herself. So I thought that did a good job of demonstrating how it's more about how you treat yourself rather than how you look physically, superficial things.
Yeah, but the couch guy, he was really rude.
Okay, yeah,
like,
that-
no, this couch is reserved. I'll give you double. Okay, it's yours.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
right.
Way to
No,
show
that's sick move.
way to show
Speaking of
appreciation
someone
for the
who's
person
put
who.
in special orders, and someone who has put in special orders and then gone to pick it up and like, oops, we sold it to someone else. It's like,
Yeah.
God, I wanted to smack him.
Yeah.
I know, that'd be like somebody ordering a plush that was custom made for their own OC, and then somebody else is like, "Oh, I want to buy it." They like sell
I'll
to
pay
somebody,
you
some
double.
random person.
That would be so freaky to just wonder what this random person is doing with your OC.
But yeah, I did mostly enjoy the episode. The only and I loved seeing Pinky and the twins' manes after they used the shampoo by accident. But the only thing that really bothered me was this running thing that it's impossible to fix manes by magic. That just seems weirdly contrived and arbitrary.
Actually,
Weirdly specific.
to be totally honest, I think the reason for that is because we've seen how magic does. Like, I think throughout the series they made it clear of how some of the spells will backfire no matter how small it is. I mean, something simple as hair. I honestly believe it only because we've seen what magic does to everything else, and there's always a chance that it will backfire immediately.
But Twilight can grow mustaches. Why not manes?
Because
Good point.
the stuff has to come from somewhere, is what they say in the episode, which makes me wonder, like, every time that they've made something appear out of nowhere, where did it come from?
Yeah.
Like the frog orange that was made a while ago. Where did the orange come from? Where did the frog go?
Oh dear.
But
Somebody on the other end. Oh my gosh, there's been somebody on the other end with like a frog head wrapped in orange peel.
Yeah.
Oh, God. But Magic Duel.
Like they're
Twilight
about
grew the
to.
mustache, and Spike specifically referred to it as growing magic, which means she was growing it. It wasn't transplant magic or swapping magic. He said it was growing magic.
How to grow a frog 101.
Come on, come all.
Come on,
You
come
know
all,
what-
see the abomination.
What was I just... I can't even... What? I was just going to say something that I forgot. And... Now I remember. Episodes like this really make the frigging Towns ponies look like absolute dicks. Like, can I just... They're supposed to be these friendly, freaking candy-colored ponies, but no, they're just gonna walk all over everybody.
But that's how
Like-
ponies are. Come on.
But that's not how they really are. That's just how they're written.
To be fair,
Ah.
that's kind of a problem since the beginning of the show, because whenever a writer is trying to make an episode to go along, we need to have the townsfolk to do exactly what they have to do in order to continue it, no matter how stupid it can get.
Lazy writing.
Yeah. The townsfolk do kind of just act however the episode needs them to act.
Yeah.
Like,
They've made
I
points
think
in
it's
the
a
past.
reflection of actual people, though.
See, they've made points in the past, though, to say that the Ponyville ponies are very friendly and welcoming to others and stuff. Like, for instance, when they were in Manhattan and ponies were just, like, rude. But for episodes like this, or the Fame and Misfortune episode, or the ones with Fluttershy, they're just portrayed as the worst jerk faces. Like,
That's the
They
issue
made-
of having multiple writers for the show.
yeah,
In-
but you'd
In the
think
summary, basically.
you'd think they'd keep the continuity that they've specifically been mentioned as the past to be kind, welcoming ponies to everybody.
usually, I know, like, the thing is that there's also a chance that, like, maybe it's like get them off on an off day or something. But I don't. To be honest, like, I really stopped caring unless it starts to become a big issue, depending on if the logic is not sound enough.
I think for
That and every writer seems to have no choice because let's be honest, most of these plots, like even back in the earlier stuff, while they are good, they need to have some sort of contrivance in order to continue, though. As long as it's not very stupid, I can just sit back and enjoy it.
Can I just point out that Opalescence wasn't really in character either? I figured she would have like hissed at Rarity and ran off, but no, she's just chilling with her.
Yeah.
That surprised me a little bit because that cat's usually a jerk.
That's true.
Yeah, but she does have times when she's supportive. She was very supportive of Rarity.
I can't
and
remember
suited for
one.
success. Suited for success. She was very supportive of Rarity there.
Yes, she was.
Sort
How
of.
does Rarity keep her frigging thin stature when she shoves ice cream in her face every time something goes wrong?
Magic.
She must just have a fast metabolism.
Cartoon
Just
logic.
remember, people, you're talking currently about mystical, magical horses. Just mystical, magical horses.
Yeah.
So you're telling me they have
Ponies.
weight control spells, but not spells to
Magic.
fix their hair?
Everything's solved by magic.
Except
AKA
main
cocaine.
problem. No, except
I mean,
main problem.
if I lived in a society where magical spells are commonplace and people and ponies make regular trips to the spa, even in a small village, I would expect that fixing their hair with magic would be one of the first things they'd invent.
Yeah. With how many mares there are around Ponyville.
And with how big their fashion industry is, I mean, they clearly have a huge fashion industry. They have spas, which seem to be pretty commonplace.
That's true. I think that was the thing that kind of cinched me. I was like, they're making this big, huge deal out of it, but they can still grow mustaches, and they can, like, essentially, I'm sure they have unicorn hairstylists and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a really, really easy fix they could have done, which would have made a lot more sense. They could have just said the remover potion was so powerful that its effects were irreversible by magic. They could, instead of saying that it was mains that were the problem, they could have just said that the potion was the reason they couldn't fix it with a spell.
Yeah, potions are a
That
different
would make
type of
sense.
magic.
Yeah. Like,
Alchemy. Perhaps.
Yeah.
That definitely makes sense.
you know, it's kind of sad that Rarity has to look good to feel confident whatsoever.
Well, don't we all, really? Then again, when you think about it, I mean, for example, yeah, if you were muddy, for example, unclean or something like that, you would feel rather bad unless you're used to that. So it just makes sense for a creature to, you know, be clean in some way. So
I don't
if you
know.
are clean, then you feel somewhat well. If you're dirty, then obviously there's either something wrong or so on and so forth. It's just typical, I mean.
I think
know,
it's
yeah.
the other way
People that
around.
feel like-
I mean, if you feel good about yourself, in my opinion, you're going to dress up and just make yourself look nice. It's kind of a form of self-love, you know?
See, but she never took any time originally in the episode to think about, why don't I just make myself look different for a while? Or try to fix it a different way. It was just
Because again,
my main bag.
personality.
Well, we all like to present ourselves when we go in public, like the clothes we wear, the way we style our hair. With Rarity, she just lost a huge chunk of her hair. And it looked terrible. Like, she could try to make it look better, but, like, it's not going to be easy to fix that and make it look better.
It looked amazing.
You know, there's actually kind of one thing that I always wanted to ask. Why didn't she just make a wig?
That was a question I also asked constantly, but nope.
Well, they did address that. They addressed that a little bit with the scene with Granny Smith. Granny Smith had that bonnet with the braids.
Doesn't seem like
so
they
I
use
guess
wigs very often then.
But she
Yeah,
mentioned not
Cranky
a
uses a wig,
but a
but-
bonnet. And
Yeah.
that was the focus of it, not to have, you know, wig underneath. It was basically to cover up the whole thing with some sort of hat in that case. It wasn't about having, that extra hair or, well, substitute, if you will.
Why
Yeah. Also,
didn't she use a hat?
it might not seem as much of Rarity's hair if it's a wig, because you can't find an exact style of your hair as a wig. You have to like get those custom made.
That's true, but I think it's also kind of pushed down on the like it's not very popular because let's face it, most of these ponies' hair are fabulous. I don't think I've seen a bald pony other than Crinky Doodle ever.
No, he wasn't even a pony.
I don't think it's very common.
In hospital, there were a couple.
Yeah?
Well, that's hospital. There was
Yes,
one in the
indeed.
Canterlot episode where Spike took care of all of Twilight's business. One of the construction ponies.
Yeah.
Also, that was one question that I did have. Why didn't she just try a few different hats without wig attached?
Well, like I wish they addressed that with the hats thing too. It was like, wait, I wish that they said, hey, why don't you just wear a beautiful hat? So why don't you just wear a beautiful hat? And then she would have said that, and that would be even more degrading than it is. Like, considering that she always wears a cloak already, maybe she just feels even more degrading if she has to just force herself to wear a hat with no hair on it or something. At least some little context would have been nice on that one.
Well, the hat might have worked for going out in public, but she was still concerned about the photo shoot.
Oh, true enough, though.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest concern was the photo shoot.
Okay, so so basically the photo shoot sort of nullifies that. Like, why don't you just wear a hat? Because I'm gonna remove it anyway. Oh shit.
If I can go back for a minute, we were talking about how so much of Rarity's self-esteem and self-confidence is tied up in her appearance. I think a lot of that ties into the fact that she's an artist. She considers fashion and style to be the medium that she uses to express herself artistically. So it's not just how people see her when they look at her appearance, it's how they see the work and passion and effort that she puts into that appearance.
Exactly.
Most of us draw fan art or make videos or write stories or something. We all have those artistic expressions. So the way she views her physical appearance and people judging her for that is probably the same as most of us feel about people judging our artwork and creative endeavors.
That's
Yeah,
true. I
but
think it's also, like I
most
said,
of us-
her...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, but most of us aren't fishing for well, yeah, I think I'm safe in saying that. Most of us aren't fishing for compliments, even when if we know that something looks bad, we're not gonna go out and say, so, "Hey, you could at least say that it's good."
Please give me something. I'm desperate.
Yeah, we know when we make something good and when we don't like our artwork. So.
Yeah, but even there, if you put out something and you're like, oh, I know this is bad, I'm not happy with how it came out, you still don't want people to troll it and hate it and go on and on about how bad it is.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, honestly, I don't care who you are. It would be very degrading for somebody to look at something that you did and scream and run off.
Oh, true.
Wait a minute. What was the reason she needed shampoo from Zecora in the first place, anyways?
Because it was
Pinky.
super sticky party string.
His anniversary.
Yeah, the string. Yeah.
Then, oh my god, if Zecora said to Rarity to use the shampoo and that the remover shouldn't be used, then why was the remover... Then why would she give Pinky the remover who would have put it on the twins' hair?
Because
and
they
her
mixed
own
it
hair?
up.
Yeah, but Pinky would have put the remover on her and the twins' hair because
She said
was...
to focus on what they wanted removed.
Yeah, but however, visually, we saw how Pinky is like with all the bubbles and all that. So then again, that indicates that shampoo. So I wonder if the remover is that the remover is just basically a small, just a small wipe, like like those what are those
No,
called?
the remover bubbled too. We saw that behind the shower curtain.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that, but
Yeah, but it didn't bubble nearly as much. Like, Pinky only used like 2 dabs, and it filled up the entire sugar cube corner.
I
Yeah.
chalk it up as a simple visual.
Pinky's
honestly.
Pinky.
Yeah.
So she's happy if there are bubbles.
not to mention that she's the breaker of law and physics. So, although, but still, yeah. If they still kept that, I kind of wonder if there's like, yay, we remove all the stuff, and oh my god, you're bald. I got bald at all. Oh no, I'm bald too.
Well, true, but I think, like I said, Zakora specified you have to focus on what you want removed, so don't think about anything else except just the string.
Ah,
So Rarity wanted her mane removed?
No, she was focusing on her mane because she was like, oh, my mane is going to be so glorious and amazing.
Mm.
and then the
So
bottom.
she was focused, but it's not on getting it removed. It was just focused in general.
So if those two bottles have magical properties, does that mean they go by command? Like they just say, I wish I wish I could get rid of this hair, or something like that.
Okay, did Zakora take both of those bottles of stuff out of the same cauldron though?
I have no idea.
Didn't it go through the pipes? Like, those
Went
could have changed it
through-
ever so slightly.
Yeah,
Maybe.
first they went through the same spot, then distilled through different, paths, if you will. So, yeah.
Well, I guess
there
that
you
makes
go.
sense. Just
The
seems
base ingredient is the same.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they serve a similar purpose, though.
cleaning supplies. One gets lust, and the other gets baldness.
And they both cut through sticky stuff.
Apparently,
This is
the
true.
shampoo can take all the sticky stuff out of Pinky and the twins' manes, but not anything left on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think it would at least
Pinky
be
and the
sticky
twins' mates
stuff.
look fabulous.
Yes, but you'd think at least the shampoo would be able to get the stuff out of the curtains because it's fabric, soft stuff similar to their manes and tails and bodies. But no.
But also, they were
But-
focusing on the stuff, so why didn't it remove it anyways?
Yeah. Why did it just remove the stuff on them? I mean, the twins were focusing on each other, but
Maybe the focus thing only applied to the remover potion and not the shampoo potion.
That's quite possible.
Yeah. Alchemy doesn't make sense, but it totally does.
Magic doesn't make sense, and it totally does.
Yeah, they can be studied.
friendship is magic.
So it seems like most of us had positive outlooks on the episode. Did
Oh no, I
Maya-
just like the episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But most has a positive outlook. But did Maya ever share his thoughts on the episode?
Not really, so I might as well.
Your chances are
Well, alright, so if I start ranting, just stop me. But, okay, starting with this very, very opening scene. So, Rarity goes around and, gives a helpful hand or hoof or whatnot else to townsfolk and whatnot else. It's, frankly, I found that particular part of the episode, wonderful in some way, because here's the thing. At first she mentions the color coordination, then she mentions color theory, and both of these two aspects I personally found rather fascinatingly wonderful, if you will, because whenever a cartoon mentions something that perhaps would well, teach the viewer something new, that'd be a wonderful thing. And I remember back in the first season, they did that quite a bit more, and over time, it sort of stopped happening, which was sort of a shame because, well, it's a perfect show to teach kids and so on and so forth. So hey, teach me something as well. And color theory, frankly, it was a wonderful touch, though. They could have perhaps elaborated on that, but whatever. All right, fine. Moving on, then Pinky. Yeah, wow, Pinky. Well, now that's an interesting one. So, well, I'm not a fan of the character at all. I personally, start to hate the character and the way it's used, but whatever, fair enough. You can use the dumb horse properly, but mostly it's not. In this episode, it was, Pinky was just horrible, if you will. Absolutely not considering anyone, just using, well, obviously the sticky stuff. But okay, fine, that's a story detail that they basically hammered in hard, just so, there would be something sticky and, there would be some shenanigans with hair. So that sort of needed to happen, and Pinky, I guess, was the next best or easiest tool to achieve that, and fair enough, they did so. But in process of doing that, they created or made Pinky look be really stupid. So there you go. Fallon?
See, wouldn't it be even more stupid if it involved, say, Twilight? If Twilight was the one who caused the sticky hair?
It really depends how you show it, because at this point, having some sort of sticky stuff happen or whatnot else, it's basically a storytelling element or visual element that they had to somehow hammer in. It wasn't really particularly important how that happened, but it needed to happen. So they went, I suppose, in some way, the easiest route. Just having Pinky spray the sticky stuff all over the place, and in wrong context, this sentence would sound wonderfully, I know. But, moving on. So Pinky, it's, but that's not end of the Pinky's stupidity in this episode, because...
may I put in a defense for Pinky really quick?
Go for
it.
So Pinkie Pie is... she is what's called an extroverted, intuitive feeler perceiver. She's very... a big weakness is a tendency to be a little bit airheaded. And I don't mean that in a way where, they're like idiots or whatever. I'm talking about where she has a tendency not to think things all the way through. She just wants to go big or go home, kind of.
Fair enough. Okay.
That's basically established throughout
she's not quite to the maturity stage where, she's able to say, okay, I need to put the brakes on this, think about it first, and then move forward with my big party thing.
Yeah. And
she's still kind of learning to do that.
Been established, I'd say. So, yeah. And Fallon?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, Fallon, you said you had a problem with what happened in Sugar Corner.
Well, I have two problems. But I feel this is completely normal for Pinkie Pie to do something like this. What's not normal is that was silly string. I have dealt with silly string, and if you get it anywhere on you, it literally just falls off if you wipe it off or pick it off. It's so not sticky.
Yes, but this is her super sticky
They made the point. Yeah, they made a point to mention that it was super sticky.
That is really stupid.
Well, yeah, I know, and that's exactly the point. I mean,
what was your point of that? Trying to imitate their sneeze mucus? Like what?
That's another really dumb point. Does she really need to celebrate every single little thing? I'm just nitpicking at this point.
Yes, she does. She's Pinkie Pie.
Yep. All right, fine. I can chuck it up as Pinkie Pie stuff. Fine, whatever.
See,
right.
The other problem I had here was the twins themselves, though. She said it's been a year since their first sneeze. They're a year old and they haven't changed in the slightest appearance whatsoever. Whereas Flurry Heart's just a few months old and she's visibly
Flurry
grown.
Heart is an exception, as we all know. She
didn't say years, did she? She said 1 year since their first sneeze, I thought.
Yeah,
She said a year.
it's been 1 year.
Yeah.
That's what I said, isn't it?
Honestly,
Maybe I misheard. I thought you said years.
It was a year, yeah, just a single year. All right, fair enough.
Still, they should have grown like the CMC grow, the older ponies grow.
That's the thing with animation when you think about it. I mean, there is this thing called suspension of disbelief, and in this case, in animation, when it comes down to such a show where you have basically 3 or 4 types of character bases, there has to be something more grand to happen for a character to change. I mean, look at Simpsons, for example, right? They basically also don't change much, though the time goes on. And yeah, it's a bit different sort of a show, but this, it actually still goes in the same way. I mean, do you really care to show that they are growing up? I mean, I'd much rather have, characters just go and be themselves and stay in one form so it's easier to understand. Because
hey, I don't know about that, though, because the CMC never did anything grand, but they very, very visibly grow over time, even before they got their cutie.
I don't know. The only time I noticed that artists try to force the perspective of growth or the size difference was in the Rarities episode.
Forever Philly.
This season. Yeah, Forever Philly. They did use some weird ass scaling and forced perspective, and when it was scaling, it was just awful. When it was forced perspective, now that was really clever and wonderful, but even so, that's the same Philly base model, and they didn't really use the AJ type of a little more grown Philly sort of a thing that we see AJ be, shown in as where the apple lies. So that'd be the next step in that character change, and for that there had to be something specific, need to be happen in the show for artists to actually switch to that particular character and style and so on and so forth. It's basically visuals, essentially.
Yeah, the only growth that I've seen with the CMC is their character growth. Their character model has always still been the Philly.
I always think that maybe it's because even if they did try to make a new model, it will be not much is gonna change unless you go to a time skip and say oh hey look, we're in the time where the CMC are a little older, they're now teenagers and they get and now they have new models and all that. Maybe if it just goes by years and differences and all that, it doesn't mean it basically it's gonna they would have still used the same model, only with some minor differences though.
On the one hand, I would really love to see the CMC and all the other Colts and Phillies and the Cake Twins be shown to grow a little bit. But realistically, I know that's probably not going to happen because that would require the animators doing a lot of work creating all new models for a slightly larger.
That's what I'm trying to say. The CMC, their bases have grown. They went from short little Phillies to taller.
Not really.
Older.
I haven't seen
It's
it.
been a very slight change.
The changes that they've done is probably redesigns for new systems or whatnot else or something like that. But mostly the bases have stayed the same, and difference, as I said, in the Forever Philly were slightly altered just to showcase that slight growth. But in essence, those characters still stayed in the same, state. The model itself was the same. It was just upscaled or, used in a different, not artistic, but, they used camera tricks to showcase that growth slightly. So that's sort of illusion there. But the model itself is still the same. I might be completely wrong, of course.
That was the one thing that I was paying attention to, though, was just The CMC have been growing the entire episode. The main 6 have been growing as well, especially Twilight.
Well,
Since she became an ally.
When
Twilight grew taller when she ascended.
And she also, like, they modified her model to be skinnier when she was turned into a princess. So the model itself changed.
Yeah, but they're still growing. Look at how tall she was compared to Celestia season 1, to Celestia when she first became an alicorn, to Celestia now.
For Twilight, they did change the proportions, yes.
But also, like, compare Twilight before, like, in season 1, compared to the main 6, and compare her the same way now. Like, she is taller than the main 6 in some of those shots.
Yeah, she is.
Actually, in all of them, because they did make a new model for them when they first introduced it, and even today. So yeah, Twilight is that one little exception, if you will.
Like, the only way I see them going through new models is that if they're somehow, like, you know, if that 5-year plan they mentioned before about how Gen 4 is gonna last for 5 years or something, and somehow in the middle, like, say the show is now over, it's all done, but then they announce that we are gonna have a spin-off focusing on either Glimmer or the CMC, and it's gonna be right after the show. So yeah, that's the only way I'm gonna see them getting new models, because, you know, by that time the CMC and everyone else should have been grown up, at least up to that point.
But I mean, yeah,
No comment.
I mean, you think about real life growth, though. It happens so slowly. It's every once in a while that you actually notice the growth in somebody. That, you know, animating, you'd have to change the character just ever so slightly every episode. That would be
Or every
such a
season,
pain in the
and
rear end.
that's yeah.
Yeah, like what they do in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Right.
Yeah, because if you look at Aang in the first episode versus the last episode, he's like a full head taller at the end of the show than the beginning. But
they have
yeah,
the benefit of
that
not
is
using predetermined character models.
Yes,
exactly
they
that's
use-
hand-drawn animation, so that's a lot easier to do that with. In the case of the Flash animation, they would have to create whole new character models, which I don't see them doing just because of the extra time and expense.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Any other comments? Moving on. Okay. So, yeah. Speaking of Pinky, yeah, I did mention the whole stupidity and so on and so forth. But later on, now here's an interesting detail that I noticed. So let's presume that Pinky, took home the removal potion, which would be what she expected. Okay, fine. But actually, no. Let's start with the simplest thing. So she got the shampoo. Okay, fine. So she gave the shampoo potentially, well, let's just say somewhat toxic substance to babies. Now that's great. The second thing, it was a removal potion. Well, let's say it was actual removal potion. Okay, fine. She gave removal potion to babies. And those babies tried to use it on each other. So now it's wonderful to think that those two would basically try to wipe each other off the planet or Equestria. So at that point,
I was a little
Pinky would
concerned
be
about her
guilty.
giving that potion to the little kids.
So where are
Babies'
child
minds wander.
services? Come on. So that also shows Pinky's mental capacity, if you will. In my eyes, at least. But hey, I'm just nitpicking here.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's a minor thing. So the characters have their manes, they have their coats. Both hair, essentially, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
so why did it only affect Rarity's mane and not her
Because
actual
she thought
coat?
of her mane. That's the thing.
Yeah,
The
she was
potion
focusing on her
supposed
mane.
to. Yeah, she was focusing on the mane, so mane disappeared instead of hair and so on and so forth. Well, you can argue, what is hair and what is not hair, and when you count it, mustache and whatnot else. So, yeah, these categorization things don't particularly add up. But whatever, we're talking about mystical, magical horses. Move on. So, yeah. Right. But in general, I'd say that the first thing that kind of surprised me was actually, again, when Pinky, sprayed Rarity with all the goo or rather silly string and whatnot else. I honestly expected Rarity to go berserk once she realized what Pinky had done and how hard it would be to remove it. It was, I don't know. Here's an interesting thing. I don't really know whether to applaud the restraint or be disappointed in the fact that they didn't use that perfect moment for some over-exaggerated comedy. So, I don't know. What do you think, guys?
I think that they wanted to kind of show character growth with Rarity, so that when she did kind of flip out later, so that when she did flip out later, it was like a bigger deal. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. But yeah, in essence, I suppose I shouldn't go too long on ranting, so might as well. In summary, I'd say the whole episode, aside from everything that Pinky did and so on and so forth, because, well, I'm biased and whatnot else, but the humor in the whole episode, again, aside from Pinky stuff, was actually really good, and I found it rather wonderful, if you will, because this was one of those rare episodes that I actually did more than just chuckle, because the moment where, what was it, the Starlight, I think, teleported the mane from Crystal Pony's place. That thing took me by surprise, and it was a wonderful, little, perfectly executed comedic moment that got me laughing. And I found like two more sort of moments where that happened, and in that regard, comedic humor-wise, the whole episode was actually already good. And add the whole visuals that Rarity went through, and then the character interactions here and there. Add the message itself. It made the episode really good. And, well, to me, it's more or less the second best episode in the season. And again, like, this is the first episode I would say is good by comedic because of the comedy and the humor alone. Add message and everything else, it becomes really good. So there you go. So I don't know. I guess that's about it. I don't know who else hasn't said anything. Moving on.
I don't actually like the episode that much overall. Honestly,
okay, your main complaint.
There were a lot of things I found not very good or boring to the story, or almost repetitive. It feels like we've been here at least in some sense before. And
message-wise,
something like that. I mean. I think one of the main things here is the episode just felt boring to me. Like, it feels like we've seen it before, and I'm not sure exactly where. Maybe we've had an episode before where Rarity didn't like how she looked or something. But it just felt weird to me to go from everybody is not going to respect me anymore because I don't have a mane. Everybody's going to hate me because I don't have a mane. To I'm a punk rock. It was weird. It came out of left field from nowhere. Like I said, the only sign that this could have been happening in the past was when she took that guitar from Pinky and did her little riff thing there. And it just felt so out of place and awkward. And what is the overall message of this episode to the kids?
Overall message is essentially about, that be confident in yourself, or something along those lines, if you will. That you shouldn't, take, well, I suppose, your looks too seriously, or yeah, it's pretty much spelled out like that as well.
I don't remember the exact wording they used, but
Your
I
inner
don't remember the
brightness will
exact
shine
wording
the
they
brightest
used.
or something.
I think it was
I don't
something
know.
like your inner beauty is more important than your outer beauty.
Well, what it was, I don't know. It felt like
You're
when
in-
they had her turn to punk rock, it was just dashing the whole concept of the lesson. Like, she's supposed to accept herself and realize that just because her main's different doesn't mean she's different or everybody's going to hate her because of it. She just acted differently because of it. She lost her confidence. Had she kept her confidence even through that, like when she hawked off her tail to give to that dragon, then
Sea monster.
it would have been
Gun based
better.
species
And
now.
she could have possibly found a solution much sooner, but she decided to dwell on this a lot. Like, this magazine isn't everything these days, because everybody in Equestria pretty much knows Rarity's name. She has 3 different lines of her fashion store. What does she need to be in a magazine for? She's been in plenty, you know? It's not as important as she makes it out to be, and by complaining about this for so long, it just makes her seem really like she hasn't learned anything in the past.
Okay,
And then
yeah, that's the problem I have. That's kind of the problem that I have too. That's the reason why I say that this episode belongs in the earlier seasons. It really does feel like that. It belongs there.
it feels like she's learned this lesson before and just completely forgot about it.
Like it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's just that, wow, if this aired around season 2, then I think all these problems would have been ignored. Like, this is when, so that she just started, at least, like, make this as an episode of the starting of her gaining traction with the dresses and the photo shoots and all that. Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, this episode should have been around season 2 at best, or hell, if we're being modest, maybe season 4.
Yeah, and if they wanted to keep that whole have confidence in yourself thing, then they shouldn't have had her completely change her look to get that confidence back. It feels like she's just hiding behind a false pretense or look to make herself feel better, when in all honesty she should have accepted that ponies aren't going to treat her differently or hate her if her main's gone. It was only that she was acting differently. It was the reason that ponies treated her differently.
See,
She wasn't using
I
the
disagree
assertiveness.
here because
No, she wasn't using the exact same assertiveness that she taught Fluttershy. She became quiet and whispered and was so scared the ponies were going to hate her that she started acting differently. Had she have just spoken up and been normal, she would have been treated normal. She didn't even have to pull her hood down. Ponies would have known it was her if she spoke up.
Yeah, but I think that's a situation of do what I say, not what I do. Like, you may say that someone should do something, may help for a friend through a certain thing, but we don't always take that to heart and remember it when it applies to us.
Yeah.
agreed.
Still, it would have been nice had this episode aired around either season 2 or maybe season 4 at best, and then it would have feel a lot more natural.
I agree there. It would have felt natural in the beginning, but I think it's also good to have it towards the end as well, because I mean it's still a good reminder, because even though in real life we've learned all these lessons, and just having all these different lessons in life and things that we've learned, and then every once in a while the rug gets pulled out from under us and we just totally forget it, and we start going into fight or flight mode, just acting on instinct rather than what we learned before. And as for the punk rock thing being a cover-up, I disagree with that, because with Rarity, like we said before, she's an artist, so having her confidence back just kind of brought back her. She got her confidence before she started dressing up again. She just started dressing up again because she had confidence, and vice versa.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's a comment in the chat here saying Rarity didn't get her confidence back by changing her look. Rarity changed her look after she got her confidence back.
Yep.
That's a
Thank
good
you,
point,
Sharing
yes.
Heart, by the way.
Yeah.
the punk rock thing was really a visual detail, if you will. When you think about it, they could have easily represented that whole punk rock thing differently. You know, take a different sort of look. I honestly expected just Rarity to shave everything off and go full bald, and that didn't happen. And you know, that'd be basically the same thing. Not a punk rock, but a bald Rarity, and there you go. So
And you know, I don't even know. Oh, go ahead.
She shaved her mane off for cancer.
Oh no.
Yes, she's being very generous.
Oh my.
Here's my 2 scraps of hair. You're welcome.
Yeah, you
That
know,
used to be my front of the head,
if
and
it
that
was-
used to be my back of the head.
I don't even know if it was the punk rock look that appealed to her at all. It may have just been the first thing she could think of that would work with what mane she had left.
Yeah.
That was
That's
the
true.
message there, more or less. You know, use what you have already. You know.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I think this is a good time to start with our concluding thoughts on the episode, because it seems we've explored a lot of the things in it. Who would
So,
like
yeah.
to start?
I'm sure there's
Okay,
a
might
lot
as well. I
that we haven't covered, though. There's probably lots more we haven't covered, and we'll probably figure out if we do our own reviews and whatnot later on.
I'm
But
trying to.
already
the episode was meh for me.
I'm just more okay. I'm just more okay with it. But damn, how this episode would have had a much stronger passion had it been a season 2 or 4.
Yeah. I mean, there were some parts of the episode that I liked. I did like the style Rarity ended up in. It was really cute. And I liked a lot of the humor. There was some really good humor in there. And the whole thing with bringing Zecora back was interesting. But overall, the episode just felt off to me, honestly. I'll probably go over it again and find more things later. But overall, the episode was mess. But there were okay parts. There were high and lows. So, yeah, that.
All right, fair enough.
I guess overall, I did not think it was a great episode. Like, I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. There were a couple things that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, like that apparently mains are the anti-magic or whatever, because again, they could have just fixed that by saying it was an effect of the potion that they couldn't.
Lazy writing.
And overall, I guess it was a little too slow-paced. Some bits seemed to sort of drag a little bit. So yeah, I wouldn't place it as a top-tier episode, but I would say it was good. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. It was entertaining, so I'll take it for what it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that I still absolutely loved the episode. I loved the sass coming out of Rarity at the end, and I loved the humor was awesome. I did have a few issues with Pinky giving the little babies remover.
Toxic in the ingredients. Yes.
Yeah, I was
Wonderful.
really? And I don't think Pinky would be that stupid, but other than that, I mean, I loved it. I loved the humor in it. I loved the new style that they introduced. I loved the whole lesson that Rarity learned, and I loved that she's still learning these kinds of lessons. It kind of shows that she's not perfect yet.
When was
She
she ever
still kind of
perfect
needs
or-
some lesson refreshers. Well, I don't think
No
she's
pony's
ever been
perfect.
perfect, but I'm just saying, it's kind of a reminder that, even though we may have learned lessons, we still relearn them from time to time. And yeah, I mean, I appreciated it, especially since I have a daughter, and I love her watching episodes that say, hey, honor what's inside instead of what's outside.
And inside of Rarity is punk rock.
And-
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. All right. And Maya.
Oh God. Okay, yeah. Well, so in essence, as I said, the comedy alone made the episode pretty good. So yeah, essentially the episode is really good in my book. I really didn't take it more as a canon episode. It was more just as a random episode. Well, you would show to anyone who's not familiar with the show or barely familiar with the show, and this wouldn't ruin any canon, anything else. This could have been put anywhere really, and it would have worked perfectly. So as an episode that didn't really touch on much. I mean, yeah, visually there were quite a lot of continuity points, like the Granny Smith and Grandpa, the Big Mac and Sugar, what's her face, and who else there was. But in essence, again, it's just an episode that was watchable at any state wherever you have left the show, and that's how I judged it. It was watchable. It was pretty good on humor. The plot didn't make me scratch my head and ask what the fuck too much, except for Pinky's moments again, but whatever. And yeah, what else there is to say much? I mean, yeah, okay, punk. To be honest, yeah, the whole alternative style or alternative looks, I have fondness for that stuff. But yeah, well, nothing can beat goth for me. But hey, whatever, that's just me.
Yeah.
But yeah, in essence, it was wonderful to see alternative look being presented in such a show. Plus, those little lessons here and there sprinkled throughout the whole episode was just icing on the cake, if you will. So there you go.
Yeah. And for me, since I haven't gone yet, I liked the episode. It wasn't one that I'd highly recommend to everybody in the world. It's just an okay episode. There's the exploration of Ponyville, which I enjoyed. The exploration of Rarity's character. It was okay. It's not the best episode, not the worst episode. So that's what I thought about it. And with that, I suppose this has been the Cafe Cast number whatever. We stopped putting numbers on these. And I hope you all enjoyed this discussion. Fallen recommended we leave off on a question. So I suppose let us know in the comments what you think about this question. What if Rarity was colorblind? And with that, yes, what if she was colorblind? And with that, we'll see all of you in the next Cafe Cast.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Send anthrax.
See you later.